the rental agreement between the Crown Estate and former Prince Andrew. Now, there was public outrage when it was revealed that Andrew was paying what's called a peppercorn rent, so ostensibly nothing, to live in a 30-room mansion at Great Windsor Park, the Royal Lodge as it's known. Now, after that public outrage, the Public Accounts Committee wrote to the Crown Estate for more information as to how that rental agreement was made.
After years of resisting pressure to leave Royal Lodge, the former Duke of York is now reportedly preparing to exchange his 30-room Windsor mansion for what sources bluntly call a shoebox-sized temporary residence on the King's Sandringham estate. And what makes this move even more uncomfortable is the location of the new property and who might be watching, as this latest revelation highlights just how far Andrew has fallen, with reports suggesting Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is expected to vacate Royal Lodge in the new year and relocate to a small holding property in a remote section of the King's private Norfolk estate, and the contrast could not be more pronounced, as Royal Lodge has 30 rooms, expansive grounds, and decades of history tied to Andrew's former status, while this new property is described as modest, temporary, and well out of sight, with sources stressing that this is not intended to be his final home. And the understanding is that Andrew will eventually move into a larger property on the Sandringham estate currently undergoing extensive renovations, yet those familiar with the plan say it will still be considerably smaller than Royal Lodge, meaning there is no scenario in which Andrew retains anything resembling his former lifestyle.
These generous sweetheart deals that are gifted to royals for lavish, large mansion, manor-type properties perhaps may have to come to an end, or at the very least need to be investigated.
Yeah, those rental figures are quite astounding, Elias. So in the case of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he will be leaving Royal Lodge, but he won't get any compensation for the early surrender of his...
Royal aides are reported to have already started removing Andrew's possessions from Royal Lodge, and not quietly in the usual sense, as one source told the Mail on Sunday that a royal household truck arrived under cover of darkness and transported items to a Windsor storage facility owned by the Crown Estate, and that detail alone illustrates how sensitive and meticulously managed this departure has become, with sources saying the secrecy is driven partly by logistics and partly by reputation, as Royal Lodge is reportedly in a state of serious disarray, with Andrew described as a natural collector who has filled room after room with documents, photographs, and personal collections amassed over decades, and some ancillary rooms are said to be stacked to the ceiling, making this far more than simple clutter that can be packed up over a weekend, with one source calling the process a room-by-room excavation rather than a move, and around 80% of Andrew's belongings reportedly needing to go either into storage or elsewhere, while some items require delicate handling and others connected to royal history may need professional archiving.
The Crown Estate, though, has been essentially a mechanism for the royal family to gift members very generous rent.
According to the same source, even if Andrew wanted to leave tomorrow, he could not, as the sheer volume of possessions combined with ongoing renovation work at the Sandringham property means the process is expected to take months. And there is also the matter of control, with sources claiming Andrew has been hesitant to accept help sorting through his belongings, which has further slowed progress. And that resistance has reportedly frustrated aides who see what should have been a straightforward relocation turning into a prolonged and delicate operation. And now, regarding exactly where Andrew is heading, this is where the story becomes even more awkward, as one property Andrew is said to have desired is Wood Farm, the 5-bedroom cottage where Prince Philip spent his retirement, a place associated with privacy, simplicity, and dignity, but according to media reports, there has been debate over whether that would place Andrew too close to the rest of the family, and that phrase alone raises questions. Too close in what sense? Too visible, too uncomfortable, too hard to ignore. The precise reasoning is unclear, but royal sources indicate that proximity has become a genuine concern when it comes to Andrew's future living arrangements.
And he's also been stripped of his Knight Grand Cross of Royal Victorian Order, which is the highest order of knighthood within the UK. So it's more of a formality because we knew this was going to happen, but it is yet another reminder that Andrew really has lost everything in terms of his royal titles, apart from, you may recall, the dukedom legally and formally, because that does require an Act of Parliament to completely lose it. But the king has basically done all he can within his power to remove everything he can from his brother.
The exact location of his temporary Sandringham residence is being kept under wraps, with royal sources declining to comment and Buckingham Palace offering no clarification, and all that is known is that it is remote, small, and very much a holding solution rather than a long-term home. But even that may not last, as friends of Andrew have told the Mail on Sunday that it is unlikely he will remain in Norfolk full-time. And in fact, several sources believe he may leave the United Kingdom altogether, with the Middle East frequently mentioned, particularly Bahrain, where Andrew is said to have his longest established business connections, and according to those close to him, Bahrain is seen by many as his ultimate long-term destination, adding another layer to the story. As if Andrew does relocate abroad, this Sandringham move may simply be a stepping stone, a way to extract him from Royal Lodge quietly while longer-term arrangements are made elsewhere, and it would also reduce his visibility within the UK, something that may appeal to both Andrew and the wider institution. And what is clear is that this is not a move being made on Andrew's terms, with the language used by sources being revealing, temporary, shoebox-sized, remote, under cover of darkness, words not associated with dignity or choice, suggesting a man being managed rather than accommodated. And then there is the symbolism of Royal Lodge itself, which once served as a visible sign of Andrew's status as a senior royal but has now become a liability, with reports repeatedly describing the property as dilapidated with costly repairs required, and combined with Andrew's loss of official duties and funding, the writing has been on the wall for some time, making this move appear to be the final chapter in that long-running saga, with what happens next remaining uncertain. Will Andrew quietly settle into his temporary Sandringham home while renovations continue? Will he eventually move into a smaller, permanent property on the estate? Or will he, as friends suggest, pack up and leave the UK altogether for the Middle East? And for now, the only certainty is that Royal Lodge is being emptied, one lorry at a time, and the former Duke of York's world continues to shrink, both literally and figuratively. So here is the question to leave you with. Do you think this Sandringham move is genuinely temporary? Or is it the beginning of Andrew's permanent disappearance from royal life in Britain? And let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest royal developments, make sure you subscribe.